Hey there, y'all, and welcome back to Get Going Fast, the place where we're getting into this excellent hobby, AI, and hopefully kind of a quick and efficient manner in which you actually might learn something along the way. So today we are going to look at another lip syncing software that is just fantastic. Now, if you've been paying attention here just a couple weeks ago, I was singing the high praise of Memo-Avatar and how it is just the fantastic. It is just above all. It is the bee's knees. It is the wind beneath my wings, all that good stuff. Well, that was my love from just a week or two ago. And we have discovered a new app now, which is called Sonic. And Sonic is just absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to, it actually is better. I'm going to straight out say it's better than Memo-Avatar, but there are a few things that it doesn't do as good as Memo-Avatar. So first of all, this application, we're going to be going through, we're going to install it. It runs faster, which is great. So it actually runs a lot faster. The movements are a lot more profound. With Memo-Avatar, I was having some issues with some of the stuff that I was creating. It was like, it was doing some weird stuff like that, right? But there is a little small thing that we're going to find where the eyes don't always blink as well. So the eyes on Memo-Avatar are going to be better. But overall, this is actually going to be the best. And we can show you a few of the things we're working on. This was
30,
one
40
we showed
years
you
ago.
before.
What would have once been insightful and inspirational to think about has become trite and tired, and something we don't believe in anymore. The world has moved.
So you can see here, this was using Sonic, and absolutely great movement there in this guy's face. Yeah, obviously, he doesn't exist. It was made through Flux. We have another one over here that I threw in. This is
Kollisjonsvarsel. Og det var fordi han foran meg skulle tydeligvis ta da, men jeg bremsa jo med. Så det er sånn der,
okay, so that's obviously really good. So that's, again, kind of a dirtbaggy image I generated of myself. They're using Allura. That's with Flux Gym, by the way. But we threw Norwegian into that. And so that actually is quite... that's actually quite good, handling another language. Here's a version of the same thing using English, and you're going to see
going
the
fast
expressions
is
on
the
this
only
a lot
way I
better.
would ever consider to get going at all. It's quick and easy, and hey, you learn something along the way.
All right, so you can see there's a lot of facial movement, and so that's stuff that we're able to do with this app. So we are going to get into this. I also want to point out this is part of this week's flagship project. So as you may know, we have started every week, every Monday, we're going to be having a new creative project for you. So not only are we giving you apps to use and to play with, but saying, hey, take them and build something with them. And so you can actually go to the Get Going Fast page, and I think, it might be under here. There you go. And you can actually find the details of what that is going to look like. Okay, so everyone is welcome to join in on that. We'll have a live question and answer on Wednesday, okay, at 6:30 Mountain Time. That is over here. You'll be able to go there. You can also, farmhand members and above, so this is a kind of an exclusive thing here for the active members, will be able to come over to Discord, and you can actually join in with your video and your audio as well. And so it is going to be a party. We'll see. I'll probably buy like 20 pizzas and like 2 people will show up, but we'll see. This is it's a great project. I really think this is going to grow. This is a really excellent way to to learn this stuff, not just get the apps, but learn how to use it. And so Sonic is one of the apps that we are going to be using with it, and we're going to install it today. But before we do that, I do want to thank you for liking the channel and liking the video, sharing it with people, just going on a long walk and walking up to strangers and just asking them, tapping them on the shoulder, and like, say, excuse me, sir, have you heard about Get Going Fast? And what's your thoughts about AI? And I know that people will enjoy that because people always enjoy strangers coming up and tapping them on the shoulder and asking them weird questions like that. So thank you so very much for doing that on our behalf. That is truly appreciated. And That's what I like about you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we are going to move on now with the getting into the install on this. As usual, we're going to have this over here on the Get Going Fast Pro page, so you can just grab it if you want to get going fast. Yo, hit us up on the Instagram. Yo, hit us up on the X. Come find us on Reddit. We're going to treat you real nice at Reddit. A lot of people ain't going to treat you nice at Reddit. We're going to treat you so nice over there. Hit us up on the Discord. If you want to be part of the live Q&A and you are a Farmhand member or above, you're going to need to get over to that Discord and get logged in so I can actually give you the permissions to be part of the video if you want to be part of that. So anyway, with I think leaving her there, we're ready to move on. So let's yo it up. All right, yeah. Okay, so as usual, we're going to pop over to our browser here, and this is going to be hit or miss whether you find it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to type Sonic GitHub, and there's a few different things that are going to come up. You're going to see here was one like it says Sonic.net. So we want this one. I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm not even going to try, but it's this one with the X and the Z and all that good stuff, and that's one we want to click on. So we're going to click into there to get to our repository. As usual, you don't want to download the entire repository. So a lot of times when we first start doing these things, we just think, well, I don't know what to grab, so I'm going to grab everything. Okay, that's not really what you want to do. Now, we're going to end up downloading this repository, but you don't just assume that straight off the bat, because sometimes there's instructions that it's not required. So let's just scroll down through here, and you're going to have their news. You can look, of course, at their samples. So obviously this works with cartoons and, people that aren't real, stuff like that. This reminds me of Doctor Who and the Angels episode, I think it's called Don't Blink, something like that. Anyway, so notice the requirements. An NVIDIA GPU with Cuda support is required, okay? So that is how this goes, all right? The vast majority of this stuff is GPU focused. And in fact, I want to show you this over here. On the Get Going Fast page, I have made it very clear here that the stuff that we're doing is optimized for Windows and NVIDIA GPUs. Okay, so if you have Linux, you have an AMD, the stuff can sometimes work, but you might have to change things up. Okay, this app, it straight out says you need to have NVIDIA. Okay, you're gonna look up here too, and this just disclaimers I put up here. So if you're joining and know that we're going to help you get your system set up, because it is going to require your system set up correctly for this stuff to work. Okay, it's not an out-of-the-box solution, but some personal, as it says here, some personal effort is required. We're going to help you do that, but you need to understand that we focus on Windows, we focus on NVIDIA, and we focus on having your system set up. Okay, that being said, now this one actually says, look, this is an operating system on Linux, so you're probably fine if you're on Linux for this one, okay? Just know that when I create the Get Going Fast installers, I'm making them for Windows. All right, now, so we're going to go through here and we get into our installation, and there's really not a lot here, okay? All it says is to pip install the requirements. So there's some assumption being made here that they're not holding your hand. They're assuming that there's some basic stuff you need to know, and the basic stuff you need to know is that you've got to get the repository. Okay, so even if you're going to install those requirements, you got to get the requirements file. So we're going to end up git cloning this. Notice what it doesn't talk about here is it doesn't talk about virtual environments. So we're going to need to set up a virtual environment for this thing. Okay, and also notice it says nothing about your Cudatoolkit. But again, notice up here it said, where was that? An NVIDIA GPU with Cuda support is required. So these are very sparse instructions. If you just go by these instructions, you'll probably get lost. Okay, so don't just go by these instructions. Walk with me through this, and we're gonna get it all taken care of real quick. Okay, so but to do that, we're gonna go ahead and open up a command prompt. So let's pop on over to here. Hold on just a second. I guess I should have had this prepared for you. All right, so here we're at our command prompt. Hey, there you are. Lost you for just about a second. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up a command prompt. I might make this a little bit bigger. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my D drive. Okay, you don't want to install anything in your system folder. So I'm going to type CLS to clear my screen. Okay, now what I'm going to do, typically it's good to organize your files. So having something like AI tools, a lot of times we just do that. We just make a directory called AI tools. Okay, that's what mkdir does. It means make directory, and it will create a directory called AI tools. Now, if I type cd AI tools, which means change directory, it's going to put me inside of there. Now I can start to put my different applications. I can put my Comfy UI, I can put Sonic, I can put my Kokoro. Okay, so because I want to keep this organized, otherwise you just get lost. So I'm going to create one more, and I'm going to just call it Sonic. Okay. Or I could call it Sonic Lip Sync or whatever, okay? All right, so I'll make a directory called Sonic Lip Sync. Now I'm going to say cd Sonic Lip Sync, and now you notice I am inside that directory. Now that I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull down the files that we want to be working with. So let's go back to our browser. We can just go to the top here and we can just copy that, or you can click on this code button and you click over here where it says HTTPS and you can just click that. Okay, so it's going to do the same thing. So let's go back over to our command prompt, and I'm going to type git clone, and I'm going to hit Control V, and it's going to paste that in there. Now, Git is an application that pulls down information from GitHub for us, okay? So I'm actually, and you have to have that installed. That's part of your setup. So I'm going to go ahead and install Git, and then I'm going to tell it what I want it to do. So I'm saying, hey, Git, I'm calling the application Git. What I want to do, I want it to clone something, okay? And then I'm telling it what I want to clone, this address. So it's going to create another folder called Sonic. So watch that. It goes down like that. Now I'm going to type dir for directory, and notice that it created a Sonic directory. Okay, so now if we go inside this Sonic directory, we'll take cd Sonic. Okay, we're going to notice that if I type dir, we have the files, and in fact, there's that requirements.txt file that we were looking at. Okay, now let's go back and look at our directions here really quick. And you're going to notice there's nothing about virtual environments here. There's nothing that says that you have to have a particular Python involved. So we need to create a virtual environment. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to create a Python virtual environment. Now, if you remember correctly, we have two types of virtual environments. We have our mini Conda, and we have our Python virtual environments. So they both do the same thing, but they handle a little bit differently. With Mini Conda, it's kind of a global thing, goes into your system folders, and with it, the benefit of it is that you can use a different version of Python on it. So if you have Python 3.11 on your system, but you need Python 3.10, you can use a Mini Conda environment and install that 3.10. A Python virtual environment does not go globally, but goes locally into whatever directory you create it, which means it's really easy to make, really easy to delete, but it sticks with whatever Python you have installed on your machine. So if you got Python 3.10 on your machine, it's going to create a Python 3.10 virtual environment. Now, again, this project, she ain't asking for a particular Python, okay? So what we're going to do is just use the one we got, Python 3.10. If you have that, that's going to work for 90% of everything you're doing with that. So let's go ahead and create that. And here's how we're going to create it in the same folder that we downloaded, okay, that we cloned, the Sonic one. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and type Python. Okay, so Python is our coding environment. And I'm going to put -m, and that means I want you to run a little program that you have in there as if it's an application of yourself, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to run vim, okay? And so we're saying Python -m vim. We're calling it application of vim, and then I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it vim. So I could call it whatever I want. I could call it my virtual environment is so darn cool, and yours drools. Okay, I could do that, but then I would have to type that every time. So kind of the way that people normally do this is they just name it Vim. So I'm going to type Python-m Vim, and it's going to go ahead and where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and create it. Now watch, if I type dir, you're going to see it created a Vim folder. Okay, and inside of that is going to be all of our virtual environment stuff. So now I need to activate it though. So a virtual environment basically keeps, it isolates your application from your system. So it's like saying it's a brand new thing. It's like saying that you have a sloppy, I don't know, you got a roommate over here on one half of the house, you got a roommate on the other, and say you have like something in the middle that kind of keeps the two houses separate. So whatever's going on over here, she ain't going to affect what's going on over here, and vice versa. But you have to activate it or else it doesn't do any good. It's like having a table, tablecloth, but not putting it on your table. What good does it do? Okay, so it'll keep the table clean if you got tablecloth, but if you don't put it on there, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so what we do is we use the word call, which means that we're going to actually go and activate an actual application, and we're going to go call Vim. That's the folder we created, and inside of that folder is another folder called scripts, and then inside of there is our application called activate, and we're going to click that and notice what it did. It created the Vim folder that we wanted. Okay, so there we go. See it just a little bit better, I think. So it created the Vim folder, and that means our virtual environment is now. So I'm going to type CLS to clear the screen, and you're going to notice that it says here now Vim. Whatever directory I go to, it's going to say that. So whatever we install now, we're good. So we could go ahead and install our requirements right now, but actually we need to install our Cudatoolkit. Okay, now on the Get Going Faster solution, we have upgraded to the Cuda 12.8, 12.6. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over back to our browser, okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to type conda install Cudatoolkit 12. Now I know what you're saying. You're thinking, I thought we was using a Python virtual environment. Why are we using conda? Well, that's a good question, friend, and shows that you are a very astute thinker and observer of the nature of these things. The reason is that when we're installing Cudatoolkit, it can only be installed with conda, okay? And the issue is that it doesn't matter that we're using a Python virtual environment, because if we're in a conda virtual environment, we can install things with pip, and if we're in a Python virtual environment, we can install things with conda. Okay, so the difference in the two really depend not on being the ability to have to use only one or the other to install a dependency, but have to do with where they're located in the machine and how you go with them. So we created a local Python virtual environment, so even if we in conda install something, it's still going to install directly into that folder that we created. So now we're going to go ahead and grab the Cudatoolkit 12.6.3. If you don't have Cuda 12.6 or 12.8 installed, just go with whatever one you have or lower, okay? Because with this project, it's going to work, okay? The deal is typically whatever version you have of Cuda, your big Cuda, you can go. It's downgradable, so you go. It's backward compatible. That's the word I'm looking for. So we have 12.8 because we're kind of building for the future. But I'll show you in a little bit why we're going to go with 12.6.3, and we're always going to choose 12.6.3 at this point. So we're going to grab that. I'm going to highlight it, press Control C. I'm going to go back over to my command terminal, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in. So what I'm doing is I'm calling conda, okay, conda as a package installer, and because I'm saying conda does a lot of things. So I'm saying, hey conda, and it goes, hey, what do you want me to do? I got a lot of different hats, and they say, well, we want you to put on your installer hat. Okay, and then we're telling it what we want to install. So we're basically saying we want you to look at this catalog, drill all the way down into this folder, and then grab this thing. Okay, and it's gonna go. Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit that, and it's gonna go ahead and run, and it's gonna ask us to, what's the word? It's gonna ask us to confirm. That's the word. Typically, it'll ask us to confirm. Now, mine was already installed, so it's not going to do it. Yours will just say, you sure you want to do it? You go, yeah, I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't want it done. Okay, yo. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to install Torch, but I'm going to show you what's going on here first. We would normally go into our requirements. Okay, we know that we're going to need to install Torch, but we don't necessarily know which parts that we want. So let's go ahead and type, and we're going to put type requirements.txt, and it's going to output everything that's in there. Now notice it has us installing all of it. Okay, it has us installing Torch Vision, Torch Audio, and Torch. But if you notice, there is no with Cuda installed. So normally these things have to say with Cuda. If you install it as is, you're going to get an error that says that Torch was installed without Cuda support. So this is kind of an error on the repo people that did this. They awesome app, but they kind of made a mistake here. Okay, not a big deal. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to type notepad requirements.txt. Okay, and that is going to open up this. And you're going to see that we're now inside of a text document with those things in. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just delete all this. I'm just going to highlight them and delete them because it's just a waste of time. We're going to have to install something different on top of them anyway. So we would basically install these, uninstall them. It's just a waste of time. So I'm going to delete those. I'm going to press Control S and I'm going to save it. Then I can go ahead and close this bad boy out. Go back to my command terminal. Now notice, watch, I'll hit CLS to clear my screen. If I hit the up arrow a couple times, it'll bring me back to type requirements. Notice it's not there anymore. So now it's not going to install it. But we still need to install them. So let's go get the proper versions. So to do that, we're going to click back to our browser and we're just going to do a Google search for Torch install. Okay, easy. You're going to look for this one from PyTorch, start locally. We're going to go ahead and grab our Cuda. Now notice there's no Cuda 12.8, which is why we grabbed the Cudatoolkit 12.6, because this is what it has. So we're going to grab all of this. I'm going to leave that pip 3 behind. I don't want to deal with that. Okay, but notice this has Torch, Torch Vision, Torch Audio, and then it has the Cuda versions. So just hit Control C, go back to your command terminal. Okay, let's clear this out. Okay, now I'm going to type pip. Okay, because our pip is the Python package installer. So I'm going to say pip, and I'm going to paste this in. Pip, I want you to install Torch, Torch Vision, and Torch Audio. Then I'm giving it a parameter here saying get it from this URL. And then I'm saying get it from here. Okay, so in other words, there's lots of versions of Torch and Torch Vision and Torch Audio, but I want the one that's in here. It's like a bucket, okay? And I'm saying, sure, all these buckets are kind of look the same. They all have a gold coin in them, but I want the gold coin that's in that particular bucket over there. And that's what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead, click that bad mamma jamma, and it's going to go ahead and install. Noticing that we are in our virtual environment, which is great. Okay, that's where we want to be. And it's going to go through there. Now, if mine's cached, okay, so notice if you've downloaded it before, it'll say cached. If not, you've got a little bit of a download, okay? This is not a small thing. Okay, so it's going to go ahead, go through. So again, mine was already installed, so it went really fast. If you get versions like this, don't worry about it. But actually, what we can do is let's do this really quick. What we can do sometimes, that went pretty fast. I don't know what was going on with that. So sometimes it's good. It can cache pretty aggressively, which means that sometimes you use something you don't want. So if you add a -- force, it's going to say force reinstall it. Okay. Oh, and I guess I'm not sure why that was going so fast, but okay, whatever. We're gonna let her roll. Okay, so now what we can do is we're gonna go pip install -r requirements.txt. So same thing. We're pip. Hey pip, I want you to install something. We're putting a -r, which means I want you to read from a file, and I want you to read from requirements.txt, which is the one that we did up. So let's go ahead, and it's gonna rip and snort through that. Rip snort. Okay, so we'll kind of wait. This might take a little bit of time, so we will take a break here and come back when it's done. All right, and we are back, and it has gone ahead and finished up our dependencies. So, we're almost there, but we still got a little bit to do because we're going to have to download some models. So we're going to click back to our browser, and we're not going to worry about this. This is basically what this is doing is showing us a file structure. So here's Sonic, and then that's the folder that we have our requirements in and our VMV. And it's saying here's a subfolder that we're going to have called checkpoints, and that's going to have a subfolder called Sonic. And then under here it's going to have these files. Okay, you'll notice that under checkpoints and yep. So you're going to notice these are all sharing same directory space: Rife, Whisper Tiny, Stable, Vision, and Sonic. Okay, so sometimes now what happens with these things is when you run them, it'll download the models for us. This one is requiring us to download them first. So we're going to grab this command here, okay, leaving behind the Python 3 part because we don't want that 3, but we're going to grab this. This is going to install something in our dependencies that's going to allow us to download the models. Okay, so Hugging Face, of course, is a place where a lot of the stuff lives. So this is just a way that on our command line we can access it. So let's clear our screen by typing CLS. I'm going to hit Control. Oh, no, I'm actually going to type Python first. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control V. So we've got Python, and we're saying, again, just kind of like we did with the Vim, we're using this -m to say, I want you to run one of your little applications as a one of your little sub things as an actual application, and and it also makes sure that it uses the correct one. I don't want you to just use a global one. I want you to use yours. Okay, that's probably the best way to explain that. So we're going to type Python -m, and then we're going to say pip install Hugging Face hub CLI. Now, normally we would just be able to type pip install. This is just kind of a way, again, of like, if you have a global pip and you have the local pip, this is going to make sure it's in your dependency one. It's just kind of a way of double checking. Whoops, so I pressed something wrong here. Right, here's that. Okay, now we're going to hit enter. It's going to go ahead and install all that. You're done. Now let's go back to our browser, and it's going to give us these commands. Now that we see we installed Hugging Face Hub, the CLI, that stands for Command Line Interface, now we can actually call it. Okay, just like we did with pip or conda, we're going to say, hey, Hugging Face CLI, download something. Download this and put it here. That's what that's going to say. Okay, maybe not quite like that, but we'll just copy this back over to your command terminal, and let's clear the screen again. And now we're just going to paste it. So same thing, Hugging Face. I want you to download from this directory, and we don't have to put a whole URL because it knows it's from Hugging Face. Okay. And then by putting local directory, we're saying put it in the checkpoints directory. So we do need to make sure that we're in the Sonic folder. Okay, going back to our browser, remember it said right here Sonic, Sonic, and then checkpoints. Okay, so we're in the Sonic folder. It's going to put it in the checkpoints. If we're somewhere else, it won't put it in the right place. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter on that. Okay, and it's going to download. Now this is a pretty big downloads. Okay. These are not small. Okay. So this will take you, in fact, I'll pause here and I can get you a full size description. Just one moment. Okay, so FYI, by the time you're done installing this, you're going to have about 85 gigabytes worth of models. Okay, so there is a lot going on here, and that's good or bad. It's good and bad. It means it takes up a lot of space, but that also means that those models have a lot of information, which is why the application is so good. So you're looking at 85 gigabytes of download here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out because I don't think you want to wait with me, and I'll show you a version when we're done here that's already done. So we're just going to assume that this finished out. Okay, when it'll be done, all done, then what we'll do is we'll go back to our browser and we'll go grab the next one here. Okay, I want to grab it from here because it slides all the way over there. We'll do the same thing. We can go back to our command terminal, Hugging Face CLI, download this file. Now put it in the checkpoints put it in the folder, and it's going to want to create another folder called stable video diffusion image diffusion. So I'm going to put it in another folder. Okay, same thing. She's going to start to download. Take forever. Okay, and then when that one's done, we'll go back over and we'll grab this last one. Okay, same thing. So you're going to be waiting quite a while. I have very fast internet, and it takes a long time. If you're doing this overseas, why did that get small all of a sudden? That's weird. If you're doing this overseas, you've got a little bit of a wait. You know, I guess put it on and go to bed. Okay, so this one's not even letting me cancel out. Okay, so anyway, it'll get done, and then we're ready to go. So I'll go ahead and pause this, let this finish out, and then I'll show you how we run this bad boy. Okay, so now we're all done. We have our models downloaded, our dependencies. Now we're in our Sonic folder. Let's type dir, and you're going to see that we have something called Gradio App.py. Hey, yo. So there it is. So this is what we're going to go ahead and run. Now, every time you want to run this, you're going to need to come in here and activate your virtual environment and then run Gradio App. Okay, I have a video on how to create a bat file, how to make these things run quicker. So go watch that, and then you can create your own bat file. Okay, but because every time, once you turn this off, restart your machine, you got to come back in and activate the virtual environment and then run this app. Okay, but again, you can automate that with bat files. So now we're going to type Python. So Python is our it's our code interpret. It's called an interpreter. So it's going to interpret this py file. So anytime you see something with a py, it's a Python file. It means that Python code in it. So the interpreter is going to translate it into machine language, feed it to Windows, and Windows is going to make it do what it's supposed to do. Okay. So now notice this said no module named Torch. And I was wondering about that because we were having some problems with that torch before. So I'm going to show you, I could cut this out of the video, but instead what I'm going to do, show you some troubleshooting stuff. I'm going to type pip uninstall torch, torch audio, and torch vision. And I'm going to put a -y for yes. And we're just going to go, see now look at that. It says it's not installed. So that's weird. Let's go ahead and go over here. And let's see, Conda. So this is a good opportunity because remember we actually did install it. So let's pop back over to our browser, okay, and let's go back over to our torch install. Find this. Click our 12.6 and let's grab this again. Now we installed this, but I have a feeling it's going to say the same thing. Okay, we typed that in there and now it seems to be working. So it wasn't working before and now it's working. So sometimes this stuff just does weird things. Because you saw it, we did it like 2-3 times. And so maybe the difference was that I closed out the terminal and reopened it. So a lot of times, guys, it's so frustrating because you're sitting there trying to figure out why something's going wrong and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then she starts working. So obviously there's always a reason, but you know, it's whether or not we can figure it out is not always the providence of man. So anyway, so trying it again worked. We tried it with the -- force. And then I think probably what changed this up was I just opened up a new command prompt, re-established the virtual environment, and then just did it again. And that worked fine. What I was going to do, if you remember, was, let me actually show you this. Let me open up a new window over here. You remember we talked about Python -m, and what that does is it makes sure you're installing into your virtual environment. So what I was going to do, if that hadn't worked, was I would instead, because we had done this, instead we did pip install. If that wasn't going to work, I was going to type Python -m, and then pip install. And that way, because I couldn't figure out why it's not going, this way it would force it into the virtual environment. Okay, so, and I could have also done a -- force, which says even if it's installed, even if you got it downloaded, re-download that bad boy and put it in there. But obviously this worked for us. Okay, so it's done. Now let's go ahead and try this again. We can hit the up arrow a couple times. Python Gradio App, and let's see what happens. Good news is I got the rat dance out of my head, so now I just got the wiggles. So I am going to pause this because sometimes these apps take a little bit of time to load. So we'll let this load up the first time, and then we'll be right back. All right, well, while we're waiting here, I want to encourage you to head on over to any major streaming platform and take a look for Jim Day and the Better Stories, where you can find good music like this to listen to.
Our time is drawing near. We're holding on to our goodbye. 'Cause we were more than intimate strangers. We were more than merely a flame. We were more than a one-night stand. And I embraced you and you felt so good to me.
Okay, we ran it and noticed there is an error here, and I had forgotten that this happens. So it says module not found, no module named CV2. So this is an error in the installation. Again, so what happens is they're assuming, you know how I assume that you've got your system set up a particular manner? They're assuming that you've got your system set up and got all this stuff on your base thing. Now, we don't install stuff, typically with the Get Going Fast page, we don't typically install stuff directly on our base stuff. We save this stuff for our virtual environments. So that's why we're getting this error, because they didn't have us install it. They just assumed that it would be installed as, I guess. It's the only reason I could think that they wouldn't do that. So it's not a big deal. A couple things you can do. You can grab this. Okay, I already know the answer to this because I do this a lot. But a few ways you deal with something like this, you go to your browser and just paste that in there. Okay, cannot find module C2. Okay, and go through these and you're going to find answers. Okay, and there's your answer right there. Pip install opencv-python. You can also go over to cognibuild.ai and then you can go over to the blog, and you can do a search here as well. No module named CV2. So I keep a record of errors over here on the Get Going Fast blog, that so you can find it there. Same thing. Click there, and there's your answer. Pip install opencv. So we're going to go back over to command terminal. We are in our virtual environment, so we're just going to paste that in there. Pip install opencv-python. It's going to download it, and then now we're going to go ahead, hit that up arrow a couple more times. And this time, we'll see what she does. Okay, there it's actually installing some stuff for us, which is nice. Let's see what it says. Cannot initiate model with low CPU memory because accelerate was not found in the environment. Okay, so we're going to go with this now. We're going to Control C to get out of there, and we're going to type pip install accelerate. Okay. So again, they did not do us well with their installation. So again, I've banged my head against this stuff for the last year and a half. So I'm used to this, but I know how frustrating that can be. Quite often I'll be working with someone and we'll fix something that's like, I would have never figured that out. And I go, I know, right? Because I banged my head against it a year ago for 2 hours or, 2 days or something like that, But I'm here for you to share my knowledge with you. So we're going to go ahead and sit and let it go. And notice there, it went ahead and ran. Okay, so it's ready to go. Now, I want you to notice it's running on 0.0.0. That does not really helpful. So let's do one more thing to fix this. Let's Control C to cancel it. And let's go back to where we are running our Gradio app, but let's change this. Let's go, instead of Python, let's again open up our notepad. Okay, and that's going to open up a bunch of code that looks like that. Okay, and what we're going to do is just scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see server name 0.0. We're just going to change this, and we're going to put 127.0.0.1. Okay, easy. Now we're going to hit Control S, go back to our command terminal, and for the last time, hit our up arrow a couple times, and we're going to run the app. Okay, so that 0.0.0.1, it's for a network. It's like later on when you get into, if you get to the point where you're running stuff on your network and you use it on your phone, that's the kind of address you're going to use. When we're doing stuff on our computer or running the server on our computer and we want to access it on the same computer as the server, we want to use 127.0.0.1. Now we could have typed it in there, but that gets to be a pain in the butt. We got to type that every time. So what we're going to do is instead is we change the code because we have the power. We're like Neo. We can just get into the code. Right, and then just pick the bullets out of the air like that. Okay, so now notice it loaded up, and now it's loading 1270, and it's got a public URL as well. So hold down our control button on the keyboard, click it, and then pop on over to here, and guess what? You got her running. Oh man, good job. That was a bear, wasn't it? So it's really easy. You can drop your image here, drop your audio here. This dynamic scale is cool. So if you're doing a video and the guy's just sitting there like this, put that up to higher and be like, okay, and a lot more eye movement. Okay, so that's really all you'd have is these things here, and then you run the bad boy. And, you know, depending on your GPU, it'll take a little bit of time. I think it usually takes me about, I guess, shorter stuff, 3 to 5 minutes. You can put in a long one. It's going to take a long time. But it comes out really easy. And when it's done, you just right-click on it, and you're ready to go. So there you have it. We did it, man. So we ran into a few glitches along the way, and that's what happens with a lot of these repos. They don't necessarily give you all the information, and so you have to adapt with it, and you have to figure out how to find the solutions, which is what we did. Okay, we had to go back and fix the torch because the torch wasn't working. Then we had to go back and install the OpenCV-Python because that wasn't working, and then it wanted us to have accelerate. And so, but to get that, we had to be paying attention, and we installed it, and then everything worked for us. Now, again, I want to go ahead and show you over here for members, or if you just want to buy from the store at the Get Going Fast page. I have done all of that for you in a one click here. Again, your system has got to be set up. Okay, so you can't hit me up and be like, your stuff's garbage, and I'm like, no, it works great. It's just that your system needs to be set up, and I am happy to help you get your system set up, and then all this stuff's going to work great. But inside this app, we have all of the stuff that we did. It will just do it like that for you, along with a little run button, and that is available for members, or you can get it in the store if you want. Excellent software. I think you are really going to enjoy this. So, okay, well, we're going to end it up here. Want to remind you again, coming Wednesday at 6:30, we are going to have a live question and answer. I'm going to be here interacting with you. If you come over to the Discord, you can join in with your voice, join in with your video, and we'll have one of these like the Brady Bunch, you know, all in different things. We'll be like, here's a story. Lovely something, you know. We'll do that all up, okay? We probably won't do that, but we will have different boxes with whoever wants to show up. So I'd love to have you show up. Get to working on your flagship project, okay? Go check it out there if you don't know what it is. Also, yeah, just get that installed and working on it. We're going to release another app later here in the week that you can use for your creative project and get all that turned in by Saturday. And I'll pick the best one by Monday. So, all right. Well, you guys stay good as usual and treat each other well out there. Okay. Yo.